And good morning. If ever there was a day that I wish I didn't have to do a video, and I know I don't have to do them, I choose to do them, but I'm absolutely exhausted. And I don't mean from lack of sleep, I mean I'm weary to the bone of being in this world that is so insane. I mean, it is such an insanity. So before I go any further with the introduction, let me say that the title that I've chosen for this morning is Standing for and in the Truth, no matter what. Last night we watched the Celestine Prophecy Movie. Although it is based on a fictional story, it reveals much truth. Those that have been calling the shots in the system, the Matrix, do not easily give up their illusion of control. Why should they? Most people still do not see it for what it is. Most still sleep. Most still surrender to the control freaks that want to dominate everyone else's life. Though I feel weary to the bone, I must stand for and in the truth, no matter what. Yesterday, I received yet another paper from Kimberly Bonder Rizanka, the lawyer that works for Dean Mead, attorneys and counselors at law, who is representing the PNC Bank National Association, and she had filed the day before, I had received the day before, a motion to reset foreclosure sale of Thomas Drive property. That's my home, that's the Mary Horgan Center, that's my homestead, in fact. It has never had a mortgage on it. There was never a foreclosure process. There was never a hearing for foreclosure. The case that precipitated the whole thing was never decided. The court moved right in to taking possession of my home by putting it up for sale. I wish to God this thing was over. She says, "Dear Judge Harris, enclosed, please find a copy of our motion to reset foreclosure sale of Thomas Drive property, along with a copy of the April 27th, 2011 order signed by Judge Silvernail. We do not believe this matter will require a hearing." There's never been a hearing. "And are also enclosing a proposed order regarding the same. Please review these documents, and if you find that the proposed order meets with your approval, please sign it and have your judicial assistant mail confirmed copies to the parties of record in the enclosed stamped self-addressed envelopes. Thank you for your consideration in this matter." The appeal, if I understand it, there was no major document. There was one-page document filled with all sorts of legalese. And if I understand the document at all, the decision, or what did they call it? They called it not the judgment, but the opinion. The opinion rendered in the case was rendered by Judge Silvernail, against whom the appeal was filed to begin with, and the appeal court allowed him to write, as far as I understand the document, allowed him to write the opinion, and they concurred. The three judges and the appeal court concurred with that opinion. How is that lawful? Yesterday I spent a good deal of time looking at some of my remedies. One of them is a writ of mandamus. And as I look at it, I'm a sovereign. I ought to be able to issue the writ myself. But I'm not sure, looking at all the legalese and looking at all the rules and everything else, it has to be, the way it's set up, it almost has to come from a court. I have to get the court to issue a writ against itself, which is insane. The whole system of the matrix is absolute insanity. It is unlawful. It is fraudulent to the umpteenth degree. I mean, these banks and these attorneys that work for these banks are unscrupulous. Kimberly Bond Rizanka is the one that I heard after one of the mediations, at the close of the mediation, when only her and the mediator were in the room, and I was going to thank the mediator because he had been very courteous and kind to me, and I went up to the room to thank him, having sat outside during the entire mediation because they wouldn't let me in the mediation room. In my own mediation, in my own case, they wouldn't even allow me in the room. It was a game being played by lawyers. That's what it was. It was a game played by lawyers, and non-lawyers were not even allowed in the room. That included the plaintiff, who was present. They sat in their car as I sat in my car. And anyway, I went in, and as I walk up to the door, I hear Kimberly Rizanka say, "Principles don't matter when you have kids to put through college." That's all of the conversation I heard because I appeared in the doorway at that point. They both saw me. So I don't know what preceded that statement, and nothing came after it. Now, at one point, she said, "You didn't hear the rest of the conversation." If I remember, that was one of the times we were sitting on the bench outside the judge's chamber, waiting to go in for one of the whatever it was, one of the motions, one of the hearings that did happen. But the point is, this woman does not give up. Now, I met a friend of hers, or a person asked me once, this was 2 years ago, at least, probably, "Who is the lawyer that's representing the bank that's giving you such a hard time?" And when I said the name, he says, "Oh, I know her and her husband. They are greedy. They are totally into monetary or materialism. And please don't give my name that they know, that you know somebody that knows them. But I've known them for a while. Don't tell them that. Don't tell them I told you this." Now, I don't know them personally. I don't need to know them personally. I have watched this woman time and time again commit fraud, make motions before the court in which she has no lawful standing because they don't have the documentation to even prove the original paperwork of the mortgage or the bridge loan that was taken out on another property, on the trust property, in order to purchase the property that I'm living in now to establish the Mary Horgan Center, which was my announced vision from the time that Dr. Mary passed away, to open a center in her honor and in her name, which I followed through on, although I had to back up and make it less than what my initial vision was, because the lawsuit prevented me and cost me a couple $100,000 at least. The property, Dr. Mary's home, was put up for sale in July 2005, the same month that the lawsuit hit. And it was on the market for $999,000. $1 million. And we expected to get at least $850,000 to $900,000 for it. We expected to get at least that much, according to the realtors that were working with me at the time. I'd had an offer of $870,000 and $850,000. When the parties that were interested were notified that there was a lis pendens involved, they dropped out. Their offer was withdrawn. Now, earlier this year, there was an offer for $275,000 for the same property. Now, the property has fallen into a state of disrepair. I did not maintain the buildings. I did not have any intention of maintaining the buildings. I intended to sell the buildings. They are uninhabitable now, apparently. I haven't been on the property in a year. I haven't been on the property. I used to mow the lawn on the property. Every week or two, I would go and I would mow the lawn during the season that the lawn needed mowing. The lawn has not been mowed since the court took over. And I think it was actually last year. I don't even think it was this year. I think it was last year that the court assigned another trustee to the estate, a realtor, Alan King of whatever realty it is. I don't remember not Century One. one of the big realty companies, National Realty, I believe he works for. And they assigned him as the trustee because I gave up being the trustee because I was frustrated. I was frustrated with the whole thing. They would not allow me to do my fiduciary duties, and then they blamed me for not doing them. That was one of the charges against me, that I was not fulfilling my fiduciary responsibilities. Of course I couldn't because of the lawsuit. The lawsuit prevented me from fulfilling it. So I have to stand in the truth against this system that is totally unjust. And watching the movie, I mean, I know we're moving. We're moving toward resolution of this gigantic fraud of a system. I don't know the hows. I don't know the timetable. I know we're in that energy, and the Celestine Prophecy made that clear. I'm really glad that we selected that movie. Of the three that I offered, that one was the one that was unanimously selected to watch last night. And all of us there, as we discussed it at the end, were really moved by it. I mean, I saw the movie only one other time, and I did read the book when the book first came out back in the 90s, and the movie came out in 2005. But the bishop, cardinal, I guess he was in Peru, he was in the movie, he was totally against the prophecies because the prophecies undermine the church, because they make give everybody a direct connection to God. Oh, what a terrible thing. There can be no more control system, no more matrix grid that takes people's rights and steals them by fraud and deceit. Now, granted, it's our ignorance that gives it to them. But then there's the political people, the army and the political people waging war against the awakening, against mass consciousness coming to itself, and people taking back and standing in their power. They don't like that. The system comes down. The system comes down when that happens. And I wish to God I didn't have to be a warrior in this thing. But I'll be damned, and I mean that literally, if I just stand back and let them take my home. They have no lawful right to my home. None. Zero. No lawful right. And yet this Kimberly Rosanka keeps on and on and on and on and doesn't give up relentlessly. Now, is there all meaning in all this? What am I supposed to see? What am I supposed to get? Some people say, well, let go of your home, Ron. Let them have it. No! They have, these people, this system has stolen from the people. It's not just me. They've stolen from the people throughout our lifetimes because we have given in and allowed them, and we've surrendered. Well, it must be the will of God if this was the... Bullshit! That's not the will of God. And people don't like it when I use four-letter words. They say it's not becoming of a person like me. Well, this is where I am right now. And I need to express what's going on. I need to say a loud no to these people. They need to get it. They need to hear what I'm saying. And they need to hear it not just from me, but from humanity. They need to hear, no, you cannot continue to steal our rights. You cannot just trample upon our natural God-given rights. You cannot steal our property. You cannot steal our name and use it for your benefit and your enrichment while you're depriving us and fraudulently taking our assets. And that's exactly what they are doing. That's exactly what they are doing. And yes, I've watched the video with what's his name, Clifford or something like that. I watched it, and I've watched the videos of Creditor and Commerce, and they say the system is perfect. The system is perfect. No, it's not perfect. I'm sorry, it's not perfect. It's fraudulent to the core. The whole commercial world is fraudulent to the core. It is based on people on taking people's rights and based on keeping people ignorant, not telling them the truth. The courts do not stand up for what is right. They do not follow their God-given responsibilities and duties to defend the Constitution in the United States, to defend the Constitution of or for, it doesn't even matter, the United States of America. The Bill of Rights is the Bill of Rights. And these are unalterable. And any law that's passed that contravenes the Bill of Rights is null and void by definition. And yet they keep passing these acts and these ordinances and stuff like that, calling them laws. They're not laws. The law is that you and I as individuals have natural God-given rights that were granted by our Creator and affirmed by our governments. And the governments are derelict in their duties. And we need to understand that, and we need to stand in truth and take our rights back, reaffirm our rights until they get it. Now I'm asking you, anybody that knows anything that might help me in this situation, I'm asking you to send me whatever that is. Whatever, I don't know if I'm going to be filing an appeal with the Supreme Court, and I don't even care about deadlines or anything like that because there is no statute of limitations on fraud, and they are committing fraud against me. And they're doing it not just against me, but against a whole lot of people in the United States, and I'll bet it's going on around the world. I'll bet it is. This whole thing, the judge, the original judge that issued the order to put my home on the auction block without due process of law, then the appeal court that did it, they broke the Supreme Court of Florida's own ruling. They're breaking the United States of America ruling in the Bond versus the United States. The ruling that basically says that we have these rights and they cannot be denied us. They are our rights. That is their responsibility to affirm those rights to us and not simply ignore us when we stand in the truth. So here's the situation. And I'm asking you, all of you light workers, I want you to surround this Kimberly Bonder Rosanka with whatever it is required of her higher self to fulfill the mission that she's here to fulfill, and to bring her home. Whatever that means. I don't know what it means. I'm not asking that she die or get killed. I mean, those thoughts go through my mind. Why doesn't she just die? I remember when I was in my first marriage, I used to pray, God, let one of us die. I don't care which one, but I don't like living like this anymore. I don't like living in this situation. And that's the same thing with this lawyer, this attorney, who doesn't give up. She's been the problem in the whole case. The case would have been resolved a long time ago with me keeping the Mary Horgan Center. She was the roadblock. That's what she was saying, that principles don't matter when you have kids to put through college. They wanted to take the home that never had a mortgage on it, my home that never had a mortgage on it. She wanted to put a $50,000 mortgage on it. That was one of the conditions that they gave in the thing. They would have agreed to it if I just added $50,000 more to their coffers. And these mortgages, folks, are fraudulent mortgages. All commercial mortgages, probably in the entire world, are fraud. They are 100% fraudulent documents that the courts and the banks and everybody associated with it makes money off of. We need to understand this is the nature of the beast. And we've got to stop it dead in its tracks. And how that's going to be, I don't know. But we must be willing to stand for and in the truth, no matter what. These people are wrong. They are wrong. Thank you for listening. It's been a hard one maybe for some of you to listen to. But I have to make these points. I have to. I have to release this energy in myself, and I do that by speaking my truth. If you don't like it, if you've listened this far and you didn't like it, I apologize for that, but we need to stand in truth. Namaste. Namaste.